So for years now, I have played in the professional music industry, playing with different artists, different wedding bands, worship bands, corporate bands, I mean, you name it. But there's a lot of stuff that I've learned over the years that hasn't been from a teacher. So I had this thought, what are these secrets that professionals know that everybody else doesn't? So today we're gonna be unpacking the ways that pro bass players play that nobody really talks about. And also, if you already play in the pro industry, let me know in the comments if you have anything that I missed in this video. So this is gonna sound very basic, but warming up is an absolute necessity when it comes to playing any type of event, gig, church service, whatever it is. I used to not make this a serious thing when it came to my life. And honestly, the more I progressed, the more that I needed it, and also it showed. Now, the big thing with warming up is to make sure you're warming up your right hand and your left hand, and then both of them together. This could be 3 different exercises, which is honestly what I usually do. And I have a whole video talking about speed exercises. I'll link it up here in the corner or even in the description below. Go check it out and try to find warm-ups that are effective for you, because sometimes these exercises are good for, me or for somebody else, but they may not be the best for you to warm up. So whatever the exercise is, whatever the warm up is, make sure you have your go-to warm ups. So now this tip is very revolutionary for me and has been for a while, which is playing transitions. Basically, if you played a song before, you know that there's a verse, there's a chorus, there's another verse, there's a bridge, there's another chorus, there's an instrumental, there's a solo, there's these different sections. What professional musicians know is that you never want any of those sections when you go from one to another to be awkward. And sometimes that can happen. And sometimes it can sound robotic if you're playing live, if you're just sticking to the track and nothing, there's no feel there. So a lot of times what bass players do is they do like a slide. Like a lot of times if they're going to a big chorus or something, you're like a whew, boom, and they go into it. And that's what I call playing a transition. So when you start to learn and figure out these different transitions, it can help you play your bass in a better way. If any of the musicians are dazed off into space or something, whenever you do a cue, like a slide or anything like that, what that does, it tells the band and the artist, hey, we're going to this next section, so come in. All right, now space is king. This is a huge thing that I've learned being in the pro industry. And this is a huge sign of someone who is seasoned versus someone who is not very seasoned. One of the biggest signs when I go to a concert or anything like that, and I'm listening to an artist and I'm listening to a band, the way I know there's professional musicians in the crew is when I feel and hear space. And what I mean by space is that there's not licks happening every line, or there's not licks happening every second of the song, but you feel and you learn the music, and then you're like, oh man, yeah, that feels good. And then when they do a lick, it's effective and it hits you in the gut, and you're like, oh, wow, that was sick. That was crazy. But that's something that seasoned musicians know that beginners, intermediates, and people who are not very seasoned don't know. And the reason why that is because the music is the priority and not the musician. When the musician is the priority, then it's all about them. It's all about self. It's all about, oh, I'm gonna play this lick here. But when the music is the priority and somebody's hiring you to do a job to make their band and make their sound good, then the music is the priority. Now, if you sprinkle something here and there, that's great. But the thing is you're taking that self aspect out of it. And that's how you really know a professional understands that space is king. Thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. So Skillshare is an online learning platform that is a step up from just online videos like here on YouTube. Basically, if you have a skill that you need to learn and you need multiple ways of learning it, if it's in a PDF, if it's video, if it's learning music and you need chord charts, This is an incredible place to find all of those things in one area. So the way it works is that you sign up by going to the Skillshare website. Then you go to the homepage and type in whatever skill that you need to learn or that you want to learn. And so for video editing, for example, all I do is just type in video editing. And once I type video editing in, a whole host of courses comes up at the bottom, and I just choose whichever one that I want to use. Then after you get into the course, if you already know some things, some of the basics, you can skip through and just find the things that you don't know, or you can go all the way through the course starting from the top. So if you want to take your business, your career, or even your musical ability to the next level, check out my personal link to Skillshare in the description below, where the first 1,000 people will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Now, let's get back to the video. Now, this one took me some years to learn, but confidence is a sound. Basically, all this means is that when you play and you play timid, people can feel that. Even if you're playing all the right notes, if you're playing timid, people in the audience and also the artists can feel that you're playing timid. And the thing is that it makes the music feel kind of tense and people don't feel comfortable. They don't feel like they can sit in it and be like, this feels good. So whenever you're playing, know that confidence is a sound. So when you come into it, if the song comes in strong, come in strong. If you come in on the wrong note, then that's fine. You'll correct it faster. Now, a huge way that I gain confidence in my playing all the time is by knowing my music. I know that sounds very simple, but when you're playing a lot of different songs, I mean, I've played hundreds of songs in a day before, but if you know your music, you just have a confidence unlike anything, because usually the time you're most timid is when you're unsure. So make sure you learn your music so well that you're confident in it. And you're like, you know what? I know this part. I know this bridge part that's coming up. Having that confidence is not a bad thing. It actually shows in your playing. Now, for me, when I know that I have a song and I'm pretty confident in it, is when I see the name of a song on a playlist and I can immediately play the song in my head and be like, I can hum it and I can be like, oh, okay, yeah. I know what happened there. I know what happened there. But for me, that's how I know, because I can generate the thought in my head and the sound in my head. Like I think about the bass part and know, oh, okay, that's what the first verse is. Oh yeah, the second verse has got that thing. But when I know that I'm not going to be confident in it, is when I look at the song and I'm just like, how does that song go? I have no idea. Oh my gosh, what even key is this song in? That's how I know. I was like, all right, Travis, you need to listen to the song a little bit more. You need to get in the shed on this a little bit more. Sometimes you just have to hear it. Because if you're a musician, a lot of times the hardest thing is just understanding where the song is going. If you understand where the song is going, even if you don't have as much time to get it under your hands with a bass or an instrument, you're just going to be in a lot better of a place than if you waited until you got your bass to listen to a song. So if you're trying to gain confidence, one huge thing, listen to your songs with or without your bass. Now, what a lot of professionals know is what tone to use where. Now, this is something that is a huge sign of a professional and a beginner, because a lot of beginners don't have any idea the concept of tone and how it works in different settings, different dynamics, all these different things. One huge way is using it in genre. When you know what genre you're playing, you kind of understand what tone needs to be there. Now, this is something a lot of pros know about. That's the reason why you see a lot of bass players have different basses, because there's different tones for different genres, different tonalities for different dynamics that are happening in the song. That's why you see a lot of times with CCM artists, I like to take some type of P bass or, a jazz bass. But I'm not going to be, going from my brightest bass to go play with worship or anything like that. I'm going to take something that fits the genre, which is like a P bass, which most times when you're hearing these worship records is either a P bass or some type of jazz bass. Now, another thing when it comes to tone is what pedals to choose. Now, I have a video, I'll link it up here somewhere. It's 4 bass pedals that every bass player should have. Those are just kind of the essential foundational pedals, no matter what genre you're playing in. But once you start to understand what you're playing in, like what genre you're playing in, you can start to be like, oh, you know what? I actually need a distortion. You know what? I actually need an octave. I need this one special pedal. This is the reason why, like, when it comes to playing with all these different people and playing with all these, different bands, professionals know, oh, this is a rock guy, so I need to have a distortion. I probably need to have some type of phaser, or if I'm playing with a fusion band, it's like, oh man, a phaser would be sick, an octave, different things that could be very useful in the style of music that you're playing. Now, this may just be my opinion, but all the people that I look up to as far as musical role models have this trait, which is complimenting band members. Basically, what that means is that everybody on the band wants each other to succeed. If there's a solo or if there's a moment that a guitar player's doing or a bass player's doing or a drummer's doing, you want them to succeed. So what you're going to do is you're going to try to set them up. It's like you're throwing the ball to the best batter on the team and you want them to hit it. You want them to get a home run. So what this concept consists of is making sure you're a team player, essentially. So if somebody's got a solo, make sure you're like, if it's a guitar player and he's going to be really high, go low if you're playing bass. If the guitar player is going to go low, go high. So whatever they're doing, it complements, what's happening. Because when you compliment your band members, it makes the music better and also your chemistry. And once you start to gain that chemistry, now you're going to have friends forever and have opportunities forever. There's one huge thing that I live by when it comes to this whole concept of complimenting band members, which is ego is the biggest killer of effective creativity. And once you understand that, you start seeing like, this is not just about me. This is about my team. This is about the artist. This is what's going to transform your playing and your creativity to a higher level than you've ever thought before. Because whenever you have your ego involved, it's more about the musician than it is about the music. So whenever you're playing in a band or anywhere, try your best to take your ego out of it and play the music. So now the last tip that pros know is one that has affected me so much, which is thinking like a listener. This whole concept pretty much is based on every time you play, the listener is learning the song. So even if the person has heard the song before or anything like that, they hear it in the moment, it's almost like they're relearning the song when it comes to just sitting out at a concert or whatever. They're having to relearn the song and be like, oh yeah, this part's coming up, because they're having to get their minds locked onto the train of the music that's happening. But because of that, when I play in the professional circuits, when I'm playing with professional artists, different things like that, I never play licks on the first verse or first chorus of any song, most times. And the reason why is because in my head, I'm thinking like this is the listener's first time ever hearing the song. So if it's the listener's first time ever hearing the song, you don't want to add anything that's different than the original music for the first verse and first chorus. But once they get past those first two and you're going back into like the second verse and second chorus, now you can do some things to spice it up. And that's the reason why whenever professionals play and they place these licks just so perfectly is because you've learned the song and you're like, oh, okay, I know what this is supposed to sound like. So when it goes back to that verse or goes back to that chorus, when you change something, it's like, ooh, whoa, what was that? Whoa, what did he do? Did the guitar player do something? And gives you that effect that's way stronger than if they don't even know what the bass line is for the music. And honestly, when you think like a listener or who the audience is that you're creating for or who the artist is that you're playing for, then you can be more effective as a musician. You could be like, oh, this is a rock crowd, so they're going to really want to be energetic, so I need to be energetic. Or if it's a jazz crowd and everybody's really just listening to the music, they don't care what you're doing as long as the music is good, okay? So I need to be focused on the music. All these different aspects is when you're thinking like a listener can make you so much better as a player. So all these things boil down to this. When you think like a listener, you can become the most effective musician. So no matter if you're playing in the professional music industry, if you're playing just a local gig, or if you're playing in church, all of these different ways of playing bass like a professional is going to help you. It's going to help you get more opportunities. It's going to help you be a better musician and have a bit better music life. And honestly, it's just going to stretch you to be just a better person in general. So make sure, take every one of these and try to apply it into your music life. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to comment below, or if I missed anything that you know that would be a really great help to anybody else in the bass community, let me know in the comments. I want to give a huge thanks to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. Thank you guys so much for your support. I'll see you next time.